वागर्ताविव सम्पृक्तौ वागर्तप्रतिपत्तये जगदपितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम् सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां हरिः ओम्। First of all, let me offer my pranams to all of you. Sarvebhyah namaskara. In my pleasure, I must first thank Dr. Mashandran and Vyoma brothers, the elder brother of the Vyoma brothers, Venkat, for creating this opportunity for all of us to get together today and spend a little time. He has already said, if there is one grantha ever that we need to follow. Should I use the mic? Is there a color?
Yeah, it's audible. It's audible.
Audible?
Yeah,
somewhat. Any problem?
A little bit. Okay, it needs some.
As I speak, probably my voice will go up, don't worry. So as Venkat rightly said, if there is only one grantha that we want to read and want to have the benefit of that, probably that grantha is Bhagavad Gita. And this is something which we need to experience. I mean, you can express it only in so many words. We need to really experience it. Shankaracharya is Bhashya. He has written Bhashya, the Upanishad, and then he has done some Prakarana Granthas, he has done some Stotras. In 1920, Vanivilas Press brought it out. 6,755 pages. Adi Shankaracharya's Bhashyas and his works, 20 volumes. In 1920, Vanivilas Press. Quite uncharacteristic to him, he wrote a preamble for Bhagavad Gita. Some 20 lines he wrote. He did not do it for other Upanishads, for other things he did. But for Bhagavad Gita, he actually wrote, he called it Upodgata. In Sanskrit, we call it as Upodgata. He wrote a preamble. A prologue, whatever you want to say. Why am I writing a commentary for Gita? I will come to it later, but in that, Sarva Vedanta Sarabhuta. This is the description of Bhagavad Gita. He says, what is this Bhagavad Gita? Sarva Vedanta Sarabhuta. It is the gist of all this whole repository of Vedanta that you need is available in Gita. This is how he actually made in that 15 sentences. He said that I'll come to that. It is a very interesting preamble. I'll come to it. But since why Bhagavad Gita, he made a remark like that. This is the greatness of this text. See, in this country, we had an accreditation mechanism. See, Shankaracharya came and said Advaita Siddhanta. Ramanujacharya came and said Visishta Advaita Siddhanta. Madhvacharya came and said Dvaita Siddhanta. Now the question is, how do you accept? There should be some mechanism, right? Somebody cannot come and say, I will now come with a new theory. You can't do it. So the procedure at that time, if somebody comes with a new Siddhanta, then there are Prasthanatrayas. There are three important works. What they say cannot be in violation of that. This was the Paddhati, this was the methodology. So Shankaracharya also wrote Bhashya for all the three Prasthanatrayas. Sri Bhashya by Ramanujacharya. Madhvacharya also wrote. Why? Because my Siddhanta cannot violate these three important works. Prasthanatraya. And what are these? Brahma Sutra, Dashopanishad, and then Bhagavad Gita. Now the question is, what is the connection between these three? Brahma Sutra is very difficult, very crisp. Tato Brahma Jigyasa. Somebody has to spend some 10 hours to explain what is in that 10, 12 letters which form one sutra. It's very cryptic, very crisp. So it needs a lot of explanation. Upanishad is slightly better. There are some stories, although Upanishad is also not easy, it's slightly better than a Brahma Sutra. But the easiest of all of them, easiest in the sense, all the gist of Brahma Sutra and Dashopanishad is available in Bhagavad Gita. That's why they form part of the Prasthanatraya. It is that kind of text that Venkat was referring to. The question is, why do we need Bhagavad Gita or Vedanta for that matter? But I discussed it in great detail for the MBA students. Just 2:34 I had a class. From there I am coming. With great interest they also follow. Why? Because Vedanta asks questions which every one of us are asking. It is not asking some hypothetical questions. For example, people ask what is today in modern organizations, IAM and all that. What is my goal in life? Students you ask, they will hear, no, I come to IAM Bangalore because I want to become CEO, people have goals. This is a question nobody can run away from. Jeevanasya lakshyam kim? What is my ultimate goal in life? Who says this is not a relevant question? Of course, it is a very relevant question. So, is there an answer for it? We are all searching our own answer. Somebody thought, getting gold medal is the ultimate thing. After some time, they found that is not what it was. Somebody thought, I will get a good job. That is my goal. After some time, they found, no, that doesn't seem to be the goal. So, Rameshwar Paramahamsa says, this man keeps climbing the steps. After he goes to the first floor, he says that looks like a ground floor only. So every goal that we go, he says, looks to be some what I already know. So this, what is my goal in life is a very important question. We need answers for. What will make me happy? This is a very important question. Nobody in the world says I want to be miserable. Nobody says that. Everybody says I want to be happy only. But we do not know what brings happiness. And we spend Janma after Janma to find out what makes me give me happiness. This is a very important question. My MBA students also feel this is a very relevant question. What gives happiness? They have come with some understanding of what gives happiness. But that question does not go away. Right? How can I be contented? This feeling of fullness. I come to it. There's a beautiful shloka in Bhagavad Gita. I will come to it a little later. Can I feel that sense of fullness? Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate, like that we are saying. What is that fullness? Can I reach that fullness? So like this, there are questions, and none of these questions are uninteresting. We may not get answers. Sometimes we may not get answers, but we cannot say the question is not interesting. We want answers. We want to search for answers. So many of these questions are so beautifully answered, so nicely, so vividly in Bhagavad Gita by drawing the gist from Brahma Sutra, drawing the gist from Upanishad, so beautifully it is laid out. That is why the Grantha is very, very important. And this is a question not relevant for, it is demographic neutral, meaning Indians also will ask that question, Americans will also ask that question, Africans will also ask that question, boys will ask, girls will ask, male will ask, female will ask, old will ask, young may take a little more time to ask, but it is there with them. So therefore, these are very important things in our life, and any effort that we make to answer these questions, sign of progress. That is the real sign of progress. The sign of progress is not one more salary, one more house, one more car. Sometimes think like that. They are temporary. Our ability to find answers to such questions is a sure sign of progress. That is why these granthas are very, very appealing, intuitively very appealing. If you get the right kind of instruction from a guru as to how to understand these granthas, Jivana Sapalata will happen. It's so wonderful to immerse into this Gita Amrita. It will appeal a youngster, it will appeal a old person, it will appeal everybody. It is not answering some small little questions, it is answering some big questions. So today's talk, Venkat gave me a title, Timeless Gita and Endless Bliss. Because I wrote a book in the title, he thought better I give this title to him. So there are, when I put a title, I never thought, I started thinking, what is the meaning of this title? Prayatna is useful. So he put me into some thinking for the last 4 or 5 days. So I was wondering, what is this title? So I am going to only talk about that now. What is this timeless Gita and endless bliss? It looks, in hindsight, it looks, this is a very, very interesting title, because the first term that you see there is timelessness. Right? Timeless. Now, this is a very, very fundamental principle in Sanatana Dharma. Desha Kala Parichinna is what one of the Devi's Nama. Moment you talk of time, we all must remember we are talking of finite, not infinite. Infinite does not need time. Why do you need time for infinite? Time is because you have to check my age, I have to click my clock. As I am talking, my age is coming down. So that is the reality, no? Right? So, moment you say time, we are in the domain of finiteness. Time and space are very finite. So, moment you say timeless, we are talking about infinite. See, the Brahmasya Lakshana in Taittiriya Upanishad, beautifully, in the first line, in the second chapter, the Upadesha is over. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. That's all. The rest of the chapter only describes it in so many details. So Satyam is something, the definition of Satyam is which will never change with time. It's a very simple but a very powerful definition. If people are defining Satyam, we will have to only say that which cannot change with time is Satya. That which means lot of things that what we thought are Satya are not Satya. Power is not Satya, position is not Satya, age is not Satya, respect is not Satya. So, Sonda Bandhavulu, they are not Satya. Many things that we consider something important. I'm not saying unimportant, but I'm saying you can't give too much importance to it, because all that will change. All that will change. In fact, you take a photo of yourself every 10 years, you find yourself to be different. So even this body is not Satya, because it violates this definition, that which cannot change in Bhuta Kala, Vartamana Kala and Bhavishyat Kala is called Satya. So the very definition of Satyam is timelessness. It cannot change with time. That's one Lakshana of timelessness. Similarly, Jnanam. Jnanam cannot change. Anything that changes is not Jnana. Jnana is ultimate. If you keep on changing, that is the lower. It's not Jnana in our Vedantic literature. understanding that we have. That's why nahi jnanena sadusham pavitra vidyate in Bhagavad Gita chapter 4. Nothing can be as pure as jnana. Because yate idamsi, all those shlokas are there in fourth chapter. It will burn all your karmas in no time. That also will not change with time. So timelessness, one more lakshana is jnana. The third lakshana is anantasya bhavaha ananda. If you have to take it like that. So anything which is infinite is a matter of joy. That's how the ananda comes. Anantasya bhavaha. So the timelessness indicates something which is not bound by time. So this is a Vedantic interpretation. Let us come to a more, other interpretations. Moment you say timeless, another interpretation will come slightly. Let us not at 10,000 feet. Will come a little on the ground. Another definition of timelessness is long shelf life. In a very practical sense. See, if you take a newspaper, shelf life is over. It is very common. Or today has been a bad day. Either at home or at office, whatever. So many things are happening. My boss was saying, what is happening? You have not done this. I come home. And this 2-year-old boy or girl happily comes and then throws his tantrums on you. We download all your stress on that child or on the better half. Very common. That stress I had is now transferred to something else. It happens all the time. And in all these situations, next day morning, the shloka will come to me. Not a panic. We all have this experience in our life. Next day we'll ask, why did he do it? I mean, he is well-meaning. I should not have shouted. And then next day go and say, sorry, sir. I think. But this question will come. Who said this question is not relevant? This is a timeless question. As long as human beings are there, they have stress, they have difficult situations in life, at home, at office, at a common place like this, at a temple, at a committee meeting, this will happen. So for which Krishna has given answers. Therefore, this is eternally relevant. You come after 10,000 years, the same problem will remain. And we can take the shloka and sit in a Augusta club, and then we can also discuss it once again. Alva, that is what it is. Then he says, Kama Yesha, Krodha Yesha, Rajoguna Samudbhavaha, the last 6 shlokas, chapter 3. Krishna dissects this and says, why is it happening? He says, he is a great consumer of sin, this Rajoguna. Then he goes on, Buddhin to Sarathim Vidhi is there. The entire this moment you say Bhagavad Gita, all of us remember a Parthasarathi photo. There is this chariot. That shloka is also there in 41st. Beautifully it says, Indriyani Paranya, Indriya Paramana, Prasastu Mana Buddhi Pute, Vansastu Sara. Nice master slave relation. See that Parthasarathi chariot, if you see, it is a very profound idea. Next time you see, I want you to remember this. Chariot has no motive power. You need a motor or a horse, otherwise chariot cannot even go 1 inch forward. Chariot cannot go by itself. There must be a motor or a horse. In this case, it is a horse. Chariot is inert. Like that, this body is inert. If I'm shifting my hands, because of prana running in this body, when the prana goes, it becomes inert. So this body is like the chariot. Actually, moment you see the Parthasarathi photo, you should remember all this. The body is the chariot. Then the motive power is with the horse. In this case, the motive power for us is Indriya. That's why sitting here, you can think about your daughter in Chicago or your Komala Vilas that you visited 20 years back in Singapore, Little India, or something like that. These Indriyas have the motive power. That takes you where you want to go. So the horses are the Indriyas. Now the horses have a range. If you leave it, 5 horses will go in 5 directions. And this chariot will break into pieces. So first you need a rein. The thread, na? There's a control, na? The equivalent of that is manas. In Bhagavad Gita chapter 13, Krishna says, Indriyani dashaikam cha, 10 plus 1. Krishna specifically uses word 10 plus 1. Dashaikam. You know why? Pancha karmendriyas, pancha jnanendriyas, there is a super indriya called mind. Because this fellow can control all of them. That's why while you are sleeping, through mind you will run in a dream, you will chase somebody, you will have food with somebody, you will watch a football match, you will cry. Dog is chasing you, you will get up and then there is sweat in your forehead, everything will happen. All mind is doing. You are not really running. So mind is called a super indriya. So the rain that you see in the Parthasarathi photo is equivalent of the mind. Now the rain has to be in somebody's hand. If somebody is not holding the rain, the thread, that dare, his heart will go all over the place. Finished. That's why it says Buddhintu Sarathim Vidhi in Kathopanishad. Same shloka is available in Kathopanishad. There it says Buddhintu Sarathim Vidhi. So the Sarathi is holding everything. Krishna is the Sarathi there in that photo. He is the one who is holding everything. Like that, Buddhintu Sarathim Vidhi. Your mind must be under the control of your buddhi. Otherwise, this mind is very dangerous. In Bhagavad Gita, so much is available. Jayate Vishayan Pumsa Sankasteshu Pajayate Sanja Sanjayate. And goes on, it says Buddhi Nasha Pranashyati. 62nd and 63rd shloka in chapter 2, you find it just takes you will perish if you leave it to the mind. So the mind has to be under the control of the buddhi. In this photo, the buddhi is actually Sarathi, Parthasarathi. Now, why do you need all that? This Atma has to reach its destination. The person there is Partha. Partha is sitting. That Arjuna has to go to the place where he has to go. The ultimate adhikari is Partha. In that whole photo, the adhikari is Partha. The rest are all only to carry that adhikari. So in the same way, the adhikari is our Jivatma, the Purusha, which is inside. This much you can understand from this photo. All these are Atakena Praitoyam Papam Charati Purusha. In reply to answer the question, all these come in Bhagavad Gita. They are very profound ideas. If we reflect on it, we understand a lot of things about life. I take one more shloka. There is this famous shloka which is a title song for our Mahabharata serial. Yada yada hi dharmasya nirbhavati bharata abhyuttanam adharmasya tada atmanam srijamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. This is a profound. I use this shloka and teach what is called walrus in equilibrium to my students. In economics, why you go up to economics? Tomato price went to 200 rupees. Let me take a very recent example. Tomato price, North India was worse. South India was better. North India went up to 300 rupees. Here 140, 160. Bangalore really adanta jasti hogilla. Whereas in Bombay and all that 220, 250. Delhi even gottilla. Now the question is, what will happen? Tomato price has gone to 250 rupees. What will happen? The government will act. Government will step in. They will ride. Somebody may be hoarding tomatoes or something will happen. In economics, there is something called demand and supply. Karma. And that equilibrium point is called walrus in equilibrium. That is what is contained in this shloka. What is this shloka saying? Dharma yada dharmasya glanihi bhavati. Dharma means what? Order. When order goes out of control, you have to restore it. Otherwise, the system will become unstable. You can teach it in engineering, control system theory, feedback, everywhere you can use this shloka. What I am saying, I am not saying you have to use this shloka. What I am saying, that kind of thoughts are there. Abhyuttanam adharmasya. Ut is to lift, abhyuttanam is to knock it off. Hittak bekunde heltare in Kannada. Take it and then throw it. I will remove the disorder or disequilibrium. Restore the system for equilibrium. In this shloka, you will find so much of thought. Just these two shlokas. And they are eternally relevant. You can take this shloka and any number of times you can reflect on it. This is the timelessness of Gita. I'll take one more example. Uddare atmana atmanam na atmanam avasadaye atmaiva bandhuh atmanam atmaiva ripuratmanah. What a beautiful idea. Uddare, lift. Again is lift. Uddare. In fact, this is the danger of studying any text with a dictionary in our hand. Because in this shloka, there are 7 times Atma is used. There are different meanings. Uddare Atmana Atmanam 2 2 Na Atmanam Avasadaye 3 Atmaiva Bandhuhu Atmanam 3 plus 2 5 Atmaiva Ripuratmana 5 plus 2 7. There are 7 Atmas here. You take a Vaman Shivaran Apte and dictionary and see what is Atma or like that. It's not going to work like that. It's such a beautiful shloka. It says, your mind can be your friend or foe. Manusmriti, Manayeva Manushyanam Karanam Bandhamoksha Yoga. That's what Manusmriti says. Whether the day is good for you or not is not because what your astrologer told. It's because your mind played into the game. Mind is a very big thing. So Krishna says, Uddare Atmana Atmanam. The second Atmanam is the mind. First one, sorry. It's okay. So he says, use your mind to lift yourself. You progress in your life for which you need the mind. But you should know how to use the mind. Next shloka, he says, your mind can be your friend or your mind can be your foe. That's what this shloka says. And these are ideas. There is so much of stress management. There is so much of job burnout. All kinds of things people are talking. I think they should actually read Gita. Because the mechanics are all built in there. Why it happens, what should we do? In Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a beautiful sloka. Nayam jano me sukha dukkha hetuhu na devatatma griha karma karyah manah param karanam amananti samsara chakre parivartayet yat. Ashtama skanda, somewhere it comes. When Brahmana was thrown out of the village, it's a very nice story. His own sons will vanish. At that time, finally, this Brahmana says, Na ayam jano me sukha dukkha hetu. I don't find fault with any of them. Na devata, na griha karma karya. Manaha param karanam mamananti samsara chakre parivartayet yat. You decide your destiny. See, Swami Vivekananda, the next sloka I was thinking, it already naturally come to me. Swami Vivekananda was asked. These are all modern educated people asked without knowing. Well-meaning people. Why is God so cruel? What do you mean? The 1-year-old child, it has not done anything wrong. This child is born in a slum, suffering like anything. Or this man has been so nice in this Janma, full of disease and poverty. Why is God so blind? It's a very nice way of, modern way of asking question. Swami Vivekananda smiled at this person and he said, when the heavens open, Varuna Bhagavan is, when the heavens open, it pours. It simply pours. Think there are two pieces of land. Illi on the acre, here illi on the acre. There are 2 acres of land. This person has plowed it so well. It's all very well prepared. Whereas this land is left unattended. Yogananda is giving this, Swami Yogananda is giving this example. When the heavens open, when that rain falls in this ground, he will get cash crops. When it falls on this ground, if earlier he has spent 5,000 rupees to clean it, now it will be 10,000 rupees. More and more, all kinds of things will grow. So Swami Vivekananda asked, why do you find fault with the rain? The fault is how much you are prepared. Are you prepared? Are you prepared or you are not? Na kartrutvam na karmani loke sujati prabhu. There is one 14th sloka in beautiful sloka in chapter 5. Na kartrutvam na karmani loke sujati prabhu. That was na karma pala sangam karma pala sayogam swabhavastu vartate. Say you created your own destiny. Why are you looking around? You created your own destiny. And how do you create your own destiny? Manaha param karanama mananti. Are you telling all these ideas are not relevant? These ideas are ever relevant. These ideas are very, very important for us because these are eternal in its nature. And this is a very important. I have been seeing one trend. Our youngsters are also not well exposed. Unfortunately, we have started the process. Hopefully, the next generation will be better than us. I have been noticing one trend. JEE first rank, NEET first rank, CET first rank. Nice boys, girls, they have really unwittingly, they are not saying with any intention. Unwittingly, what they say. So immediately these people also, how did you, get the first rank? Say it's all hard work. Of course, parents and all, some people say, parents and all that also, they are saying, my teachers, parents, all health are it. It's all hard work. I really worked 8 hours or whatever. Right? Now we look at the other side. If something failed, I did not even clear, let us say. You know what I will say? I will say, everybody have worked against my success, including God. So, success, I will take the credit. Failure, you all have to take credit. When success, you are all not there. My hard work. It's my hard work. But failure, you are all responsible. See, unwittingly we do it. We don't understand success or failure is worse. Adu viveka bhava. That means there is wisdom. At a very young age, people can become very wise if they understand these things. Success and failure, na kartatvam, na karmani, loke sujati prabhu. Na karma pala sayogam, swabhavastu vartate. That is an important concept. handy anything in life. These are all timeless concepts in Bhagavad Gita. You can't say it is in the pre-internet era, it is useful, post-internet, you can't say anything of that kind. This text is full of this kind of, in chapter 6, in fact, Bhagavad Gita has what is called axiom. In mathematics, they say axiom. Axiom means it cannot change. Right? That means this is the only way. Like that, we call it as axiom. I see axiomatic statements in chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita, Atma Samyama Yoga, Dhyana Yoga. So, Visheshavai heltare. Krishna says how in 10 shlokas, it's a cookbook approach. People who want to do meditation should read shlokas 6.10 to 6.17. Some 6 shlokas is there. If you diligently read it, you will go a long way in your journey in meditation. You don't have to go here and there. It's like a cookbook approach. Seating yatra irbodu. You should not even shake. How, you should not, you should not sit on the cliff of the hanger, mountain. In that tension, nothing will happen. You should not get into the rabbit hole also. Nothing will, you'll all very tensed up. Nice ideas. That's what he says. Then he says, Nasikam Swam. If simply say Nasikam, I'll start seeing your nose. Krishna is short level of detail. Nasikam Swam. Nasikagram Swam. Look at the tip of your nose, not somebody else's nose. Like that 10-6 shlokas. Finally, the crust jewel of all that simple shlokas are Yukta Hara Viharasya, Yukta Karmasya Cheshtasu, Yukta Swapna Avabodhasya, Yogo Bhavati Dukkaha. Beautifully, he says, you can be a great meditator. It's not meditation. In life, you will succeed when you have moderation in behavior. What is Yukta Hara Viharasya, Yukta Karmasya Cheshtasu? Don't be a hyper. Don't jump up and down. That middle path in Buddhism, they call it as a middle path. Mindfulness, meditation, and all that, our middle path is the healthcare. Essentially, it is, exactly. So, it is that Yukta Hara, that moderation is a very important. So, in chapter 6, all these nicely he says. But then, we all have this, everything that we know about Indian knowledge system is misconception and wrong ideas. For example, you should not ask questions. Our youngsters are all, by the time they come to 2nd standard or 3rd standard, all their curiosities are dumped because the teacher will even punish if somebody asks questions. This is the kind of education system we are living. Arjuna was not like that. He was not lying low. He had a great stress. He was not lying. You know how many questions he asked? So in chapter 6, he asked, Krishna, all that you are saying are all very nice. But Chennai, you have the Dhyana, Shanai, Uparave, all are fine. After hearing everything, he says, this is all not going to work. Simply, he says, it's not going to work. Chanchalanhi Manakrishna, Pramadi Balavadradam, Tasyaham Nigraham Manye. Vayoriva Dushkaram. It's like catching air in an open space. You can catch air in a bottle or in a closed space. In an open space, how do you catch air? It will just slip off. So, Vayoriva Dushkaram. Like that he asked, for which he said, Krishna 100% agreed. Krishna is a great psychologist. He immediately agreed. Only when I agree with you, you are going to listen to me. I don't agree with me, you'll switch off. That's the end of that's what many of us we do. When we are in a conversation, we simply say, I don't agree with you. The moment you say it, the other side is switched off. There's a lot of psychology also in Gita. Asamshayam Mahabaho Mano Dushnugraham Chalam. No doubt, 100% I agree with you. So he goes to the other side first. Then he says, Abhyasena tu kaunteya, vairagyena giri. Of course, all that he said. Then he asked another question. He did not leave him. He said, all these are fine. Because you said I started doing all this yoga and all that, dhyana and all that. At the end of this Janma, I am neither here nor there. Chinnabrameva. So, it's like this, what is all this? Yes, no. What you are saying are all fine. Abhyasa, Vairagyala, irli. One day I will die. I am neither here, at least I would have enjoyed the life. Critical questions. For which, again, these last 5 shlokas are such beautiful shlokas in chapter 6.
Such a beautiful sloka. I'm not getting to get into all of them. There is one statement Krishna makes. Shraddha atkondu now hogbeku in our jivana. What did he say? He said, Na kaschit kalyanakrit durgatim tata gacchati. All the good effort that you put will never go waste. We have to work with that Shraddha, with that faith. Life will be qualitatively different. It's an axiomatic statement. I guarantee you, you do good things. Don't look for benefits and all. Don't worry about all that. Na kaschit kalyanakrit durgatim tata gacchati. It will never go waste. It's a very, very important assertion Sri Krishna has made. So like this, there are lots of very interesting ideas. I mean, I can keep on going. I will keep the timeless there. All these ideas are timeless ideas. How can you say they are not? They are all timeless ideas, right? As long as we are there, we will find all these very important, relevant issues for us to discuss, for us to reflect, for us to contemplate, and make our life better. So that is the first part of this timeless Gita. Then comes endless bliss. This is again, it appears to be a very interesting term. It's a very profound term again. There are a lot of happiness which are fleeting. You have to understand, there are 4 properties you have to understand for what is called again Brahma Lakshana, if you want, Sarupa Lakshana, if you want. There are 4 things we have to understand. One, that Ananda cannot be fleeting. Even a person who got a Padma Vibhushan will be miserable after a few days. Or Bharat Ratna also. A few days are fine. Then life as usual. We all have our anubhava. I'm not talking anything utopian. I'm not saying anything, artificial. Many of what is called happiness, many of what we go after in life, we must go after it. I'm not saying don't go after it. Understand the limitation of it and go after it. It will be even better. First property is non-fleeting, non-ephemeral. To put it another way, it cannot be, something which is evaporated. If something is evaporated, what is the charm in going after it? People buy a, 250 breakers for Porsche, diamond-studded wheel. That happiness also is ephemeral only. After a month, after a year, I don't know what is going to happen. Many of these are ephemeral in nature. But when you say endless bliss, it is non-ephemeral. Adu change and not finite. See, all that is very finite. Yet endless bliss means, by its definition, it is infinite. Anantasya bhavaha ananda iti nana. So it must be infinite. These are the properties of Brahman. And that is what we are. That's what Vedanta says. We have all that. In chapter 5 also it says, Yada aditya jnanam, all that it is coming. A few shlokas after that, the shloka comes. Okay? And not temporary. Sometimes you say, no, it's all very good, but then it's only temporary, and all are related terms. I'm only using the terms again and again to emphasize that which is endless bliss is something which should remain with us forever. If it doesn't remain with us, then we have exerted on something which is not worthwhile. You just go. Then why did I put all this effort? If something goes away from me, in other words, most of our inventory are perishable. We are looking for a non-perishable inventory. Idella perishable. It will be here today, it will not be there tomorrow. It will be there for a year, after that it is not there. It was there 2 years back, it is not there now. All these are perishable. That's why we say Nitya Anitya Vastu Vichara is called Viveka. All these are Anitya Pada. They are not Nitya. They are Anitya Pada. We should not go after Anitya Pada. In Chandogya Upanishad, Rishi says to a king. King is like a CEO. When we think Rishis are all, they have given up everything sitting in the forest. It's not like that. See, in my IA in Bangalore, we do some top management workshop. We do what is called thinking big. CEO has to think big. Only then, all these words we are using now. In Chandogya Upanishad, in 6th chapter, 23rd section, Nalpe Sukhamasti Bhuma Vai Sukham. Rishi is telling, Na Alpe Sukhamasti. Don't go after these small little things. Rishi is telling a CEO. It's not the CEO telling the Rishi. Nalpe Sukhamasti Bhuma Vai Sukham. Go after big things. That is where pleasure is. Yen alpam tad martyam. All these chota mota things are all perishable in nature. So when you say endless bliss, we should think big, that big. Not a bigger plot, not a bigger car. Because all that over, sometimes it will be ephemeral, fleeting, temporary. That is not what it is. See, in Taittiriya Upanishad, there is an Ananda Mimamsa. That's a beautiful set of Yuvasya sadhu yuva dhyayaka adishto dridishto balishtaha prithvi vittasya purnasya. So there is a definition. There is a yuva, sadhu yuva, young. Young is people think strength, no? Because more time to be compared to an old person. Young person thinks I have more time. So yuvasya sadhu yuva is a good person. Some youngsters are talakatoitandre or prajanalla. Sadhu yuva. Adrishto dridishto balishtaha. Well cultured, well physically, mentally strong, etc., etc. Then what is the property he has? Prithvi vittasya purnasyat. To the extent you can see, up to the ocean, you're not talking about 60-40 site. We are talking about what you can reach. Upanishad, idella helbitu, sa eko manusha ananda. Take it as one unit of ananda. This is the definition for one unit of manushasya ananda. Sa eko manusha ananda. Te yeshatam manushyanam ananda. Then he goes, if somebody is shrotriyasya chakamahatasya, te yeshatam manusha ananda. A person who is a shrotriya and akamataha, his happiness is 100 times this. Shatam manusha ananda. Like that it goes 10 levels. So up to 10 power 21 it goes. If you go 10 levels, every time you multiply 100, what do you get? 10 power 20. Every time 10 power, 10 times 10 power 2 is 10 power 20. So Indrasya, Ananda Prajapate, like that it goes on and on and on. And Upanishad says, this is not even Ananda, it is only Ananda Lesha, Ananda Maya. Mat Pratyaya, we have great Sanskrit scholars sitting here, so I will not blabber too much. There are two great Sanskrit scholars sitting here. I will keep myself to my ignorance. But it is only a certain feeling of Ananda. Whereas endless bliss is more than that. Again, in Bhagavad Gita, you will find a lot of interesting ideas of what gets us that endless bliss. I started by saying we all want to be happy. Our journey in life, in a way, if you look at whether it is a child, a 1-year-old child, a school-going child, a secondary school or a college or a young budding executive or a CEO, all of us have the same issue. What will give me happiness? Our journey is one of that journey only. You may use different words to describe. You use whatever vocabulary you use. These are all semantical jugglery. Shabdajalam Maharanyam, actually. All these are like that. Finally, we are all saying, I want to pursue that. I want to know what is that happiness, and that is the journey. Janmantaranali marta idhu, This is happening over Janmas. So in Bhagavad Gita, it has also taken that as an important thing. So how do you first Anubhava enu? What is that state? In chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2 is the summary of the entire Gita. See, Bhagavad Gita is like a modern thesis. Chapter 2 is a full summary, chapter 18 is a full summary. In between, they have enlarged that concept. If somebody reads chapter 2 and chapter 18, both of them are very big. One is 72 slokas and it is 78 slokas. 150 out of 700 shlokas are just in these two chapters. So there is some 70th shloka, such a beautiful shloka. Apuryamanam achala pratishtam samudrama papravishanti yadvat. Such a beautiful concept. Apuryamanam. Purya is full, no? Fullness. Apuryamanam achala pratishtam. It is not even shaking. Achala means chala is shaking. Achala is not shaking. That's why hill is called achala. Because it cannot move. That's why it's called achala. Right? Himachala, Bhadrachala, so like that we say, no? So apuryamanam achala pratishtam samudram. These are all the description for samudra. Bay of Bengal. Let us take Bay of Bengal as an example. What is Krishna saying? Samudram pravishanti apaha yadvat. The greatest river, if you have not seen Brahmaputra, please go and see it in Assam. Your ego will be cut to size in no time. First time I went to Dibrugarh for 15-20 years back. From the flight was descending. I was stunned. I was humbled on seeing Brahmaputra. Because there in Arunachal Pradesh, they talk coast to coast. 14 kilometers is the two sides of the banks of this river called Brahmaputra. 14 kilometers. Not 100 meters or 200 meters. That's why there are only 3 bridges. Now, Modi built one more bridge. You can't even cross from one side to the other side. Unless we put a 14-kilometer long bridge. Modi built one bridge last year or year before. I am talking of that river. Nile, Amazon, Brahmaputra, Mahanadigalu. And this entire Gangetic system. And this entire Brahmaputra system comes and joins in the Sundarban. These are all Kubuddi, wrong ideas. Vedanta is the most practical. I am telling you, I am a professor of management. I am telling you, if I tell you such things which are not useful to them, they would have thrown me out of the institute long back. I am teaching this for donkey years there. No, Vedanta will never say you don't engage in the world. It says engage in the world with the right perspective. Ata madurike santosha bante. So these roots of this endless bliss lies in our ability to handle the world. Don't run away. Be part of the world. Understand how to be part of the world. Lot of ideas are there in Gita for that. Again, several examples. How do you do it? What not to do it? What to do it? Out of infinite compassion, Krishna has given Gita. Please understand. Out of infinite compassion, Krishna has given Gita. That's why, I must now bring Shankaracharya's Upodgata now. Shankaracharya wrote a preamble. Why am I writing a commentary for Gita? Why am I writing a Bhashya for Gita? He never said it for Brahmasutra Bhashya or Dasopan. Nowhere he said. Suddenly he said. And he has never used. Here he has used Aham. It could have Madila. I think there is a larger force which came out when he wrote the Bhagavad Gita Bhashya. This is my own little reading of the whole thing. He said, Dvivido vedokto dharma pravritti lakshano nivritti lakshanascha jagataha sthiti karanam sakshat praninam abhyudaya nishreyasa hetu. Such a beautiful idea there. He says in Veda, these are all the preamble he says. In Veda, there are 2 types of dharma. Dvivido vedokto dharma. What is that? Pravritti dharma, nivritti dharmascha. He says, in Veda, you find 2 types of dharma. One set of dharma is called pravritti dharma. Another set of dharma is called nivritti dharma. What is this? Pravritti dharma means work. Pravritti means work. Which means Veda believes we should be part of this society. We cannot run away. We have to be part of this society. God has brought us here for some reason. ಈ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಯಜ್ಞ ಆಗುತ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ನಮ್ದು ಆಹುತಿ ಆಗ್ಲೇಬೇಕು ಅಲ್ಲಿ. We have to offer our ahuti there. That is a role for all of us. So that is called pravritti dharma. Then there is a nivritti dharma. Nivritti, in common parlance, those who are retired, they say nivritti aitu. In other words, you are ceasing from work. That's the meaning. You are taking off from work. Now there are many ways to understand it. We go work in some organizations, even on a voluntary basis. You don't have to go and get a salary. I'm not saying you should get a salary. Work has its own purity. You don't have to judge work by how much salary I get. And other work has purity. In chapter 3, there are 5 axioms Krishna has developed. Karma jyayo ya karma hai, na karma namana arambhat, naish karma purushosante. Beautiful axioms. I have written all that in that very nicely, 5 principles of work. Any work. You work. You should come home and sleep now. Every day. I should come home and sleep. A lot of people are not able to sleep. Nivritti illa avarke. And this janma, I keep saying this very often, this janma is for the art of dying, not for the art of living. Art of living is, I'm not talking about that art of living. Don't mistake me for that. I didn't mean that way. What I meant is, our last sleep must be peaceful. We are not working only for that. We are working because we want our last sleep to be peaceful. I call it the art of dying. If you want to know more about it, read chapter 8 of Bhagavad Gita. Exclusively the art of dying is there in chapter 8. Tasma sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara idyacha mayyatpita manobuddhi mameva yesyashi nasamshayah prayana kale prana samyeke bror madhye, all that beautiful slokas are there. So nivritti, Shankaracharya says every human being requires pravritti dharma and nivritti dharma. Another meaning of nivritti dharma is you have to be very spiritual. See, there are a lot of people say, sir, I am a very busy, useful to the society. I don't disagree with that. Sir, I am very useful to the society. I am an entrepreneur. I have given 1,000 people. I have given them livelihood and job. I am very busy. When will you become spiritual? Sir, at the age of 70, I will once, then I tell them, nobody on world has any magic formula by which today night you will sleep. Tomorrow morning you get up spiritual. Today is my 70th birthday. Like that is thing. So I will sleep today night. Tomorrow morning I become spiritual. Don't be crazy. These are foolishness. At the age of 15, 20, people will speak. Nivritti dharma. Youngsters, the sooner they know spirituality, they will be very successful in what they do. I am telling you. So Shankaracharya says, that's why he said, Jagataha sthiti karanam. Pravritti lakshano nivritti lakshanascha jagataha sthiti karanam. The stability of this universe critically depends on our ability to ride on both. With one tire, ಎರಡು tire ಬೇಕು. This vehicle okay. You need 2 tires to run this vehicle on a highway. Right? So, this balance of pravritti and nivritti is missing. That's what he is saying in his Bodhgata. That kalakramena etasya kinchit nashtamabhut. Things have become a little hazy. People have not understood. In chapter 4 of Bhagavad Gita also, same thing Krishna says. He says, this balance is very important for life. Therefore, Swayam Narayana himself came and he said, let me bring this balance. And Ade Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Vedanta Sara Bhuta Sangraha. Therefore, it is important that there where I comes. Shankaracharya never has brought that Uttama Purushasya Prayogaha Kadapina Bhut, iti mama abhipraya, tatra bhut. So I come and write so coming back to this point, we should have an ideal balance of pravritti dharma and nivritti dharma. That will give us endless bliss. Very important. And those principles of pravritti dharma and nivritti dharma are available in adequate measure in Gita, provided we are able to sort of understand that and things like that. Now, there is a very cardinal principle to discover our true nature and that happiness which is evading us. It's evading us, fleeting, temporary, etc., etc. And there is one fundamental principle. Krishna has talked about it some 30, 40 times in Bhagavad Gita alone. Na kevalam ekavaram. And Bhagavad Gita, as you know, first chapter is all Arjuna saying, I will run away. Second chapter, up to the 9th shloka, he is in that mode only. Then our Sanjaya came and said, Prahasaniva Bharata and all that. So the real teaching started from 2.11. Asocham, Anusochetum, Prajnavadam Sabhasade, Gatasun, Agatasunsan, Ansochanti Pandit. That's where it started. The third shloka from there, 14th shloka in chapter 2. Matra Sparshast Kaunteya Sitosha Sukha Dukkataha. Agamapaino anityaha tam titikshasva bharata. It's a great idea again. He says, matra sparsha. Sparsh means touch. We all have pancha tanmatras. See, for example, I am seeing pancha jnanendriyas are there. See, modern science, there is a doctor, she may be able to clarify it better. But in modern medical science, there is, when you see, there is, the retina picks up this, there is a signal which goes to a certain part of the brain. And like that, modern thing is talking. Namdu, there is something called a tanmatra. A tanmatra irbeku. There is a tanmatra related to seeing. If the tanmatra is not there, the signal may not go, possibly. If the tanmatra related to hearing is not there, this signal will not go, so you will not hear. That's a deaf, blind atra. Krishna says, these pancha tanmatras, as long as they are in touch, matras sparsha, sparshas to kaunteya, as long as these matras are in touch, touch with what? Touch with outside world. What is the job of the indriya? Indriyas go into indriyartha. They go into their destination. Eye always goes into rupa. Ear always goes into shabda. Tongue always goes to rasa. This goes to grana, smell. Each of them have their own destination. That's what Krishna is saying. Matra sparshas kaunteya. Moment these 5 matras are in touch with the outside world, Arjuna, please understand, it will blow hot and cold. Sito ushna, sukha dukkha. Sitoshna, sukha dukkataha. Right? In fact, you can write a notebook, you can take a 100-page notebook and write a world of duality. Good, not good, like, don't like, positive, negative, up, down, sukha, dukkha, hot, cold. You can write 100 pages. This world of duality. He's talking about those. He has given only a few examples. Then he says something very interesting. Agamapayinaha anityaha. They will keep coming. You know what is the bane of modern education? All our kids are told only good things will happen. This is totally wrong. You don't have to say bad things will happen to you bluntly. There's a way to say it. But to tell them that only good things will happen is like actually seeing a model house and trying to buy an apartment. Never do that. Life will be miserable because model house will look very good. Your real house, unless you put a fortune, you will not go anywhere near it. Don't look at a MS Office demo and think Microsoft Office is great. You'll get a 14-digit blue screen error and all will come in between, even in 2023. So we should not say like that. Life is a roller coaster. Agamapayinaha, nityaha. I mean, this is something people don't understand. When dukkha happens, they think, it's taking a lot of time. When sukha happens, they think it has gone too quickly. Fact of the matter is both will come and go. That's all. That's why Shankaracharya gives a beautiful definition for titiksha. Sahanam sarva dukkhanam. He never said sarva santoshanam. You don't need a support system for santosha. Only for dukkha, it looks like we need. Sahanam sarva dukkhanam apratikara purvakam chinta vilapa rahitam. Moment some dukkha happens, chinta vilapam. This fellow did it, I was so good, why did it happen to me? The world is cruel to me. I promised Ganesha 11 coconuts. I even put in advance, nothing happened. All kinds of chinta vilapam. So Vilapa Rahita, Sa Titiksha Uchite. That's what he says. Titiksha is defined like that. So he says, Titikshasva Bharata. Develop this mental equipoise. That is the building block for Santosha. The building block to lead a life of contentment. Apuryamanam achala pratishtam samudramapaha pravishanti yadvat. If you want that experience, the castle has to be built on the basis of titiksha. That's samatva bhava. Next sloka he says, what is that? The next sloka in Bhatta, he says, Sa amritattvam, something it comes, no? What is that? Next sloka. Just missing my word. Huh? It will come back again to me. Then he says, Samatvam yoga uchyate. He even defined yoga as a state of reaching that samatva. So we should not be like a thermometer. Thermometer, the mercury will go up and down. Temperature jasti andre mele hogutte. Temperature kadme andre it will come down. Krishna said, be a thermostat. No, not that. It's not just coming to me. It will come. So Samatvam Yoga Ishite, in 14th chapter, up to 14th chapter, he says, every chapter you will find. In 14th chapter, he says, Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga, Gunatita Hasa Uchate. 7 examples are given that. There are 7 pairs of opposites he talks about in chapter 14. So beautifully. Sama Dukha Sukha Sastha Sama Loshashma Kanchana, Tulya Priya Priyodira, Tulya Mitrata Samsutihi, Manapa Manayos Tulya, Tulya Mitra Pakshayo, Sarva Aramba Parityahi, Gunatita Hasa Uchate. There are 7 examples. Very real examples of real life. Mitra Paksha, Hari Paksha. You know how people deal? I have seen in offices. You sit in a conference room. Moment you make a statement, I find out whether it belongs to the opposite camp or my camp. Mitra Paksha or Hari Paksha. My understanding itself is conditioned by that. Krishna says, don't do it. Mitra Paksha and Hari Paksha. Tulya Ninda Atma Samstuti. This is the bane of so-called leaders. They cannot take criticism. You have to be Tulya and Ninda and Atma Samstuti. If people are not able to take criticism, I am a consultant, I am telling you, I have been a consultant for a lot of companies. If a manager, if a leader is not able to take criticism, sooner or later he will call a consultant to solve his problem. Because others will not tell him anything. And what poor consultant knows that he doesn't know anything about that company. He will ask all of them, and based on what they said, he will give a report and take a fortune and go. Consultant is like somebody who takes the watch from me, look at the time and tell you what is the time. Alva? So, Tulya Ninda Atma Samskriti. Mana Apamanayos Tulya. Sometimes it is Mana, sometimes it is Apamana. Sometimes it is utter failure. Sometimes it is success. If you don't know how to handle these two, Santosha will be evading for us. No, amongst all these, there is a very important message Krishna gives. Krishna says, buy one, take one free. You ask Sukha, I give you Dukkha along with it. You have to understand that fact of life. So what all these are contained in that shloka. I mean, this shloka I can keep on, giving these kinds of interpretation. That's the reality of life. The day we understand the reality of life, that life is a roller coaster ride, we are very near that endless bliss. That is our biggest problem in life. ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಮನನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಭಗವದ್ಗೀತಾ ಓದಬೇಕು. We have to, very diligently read this Gita. That is the charm of this particular text, right? Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara cha yudhya. What a realistic statement. Every moment we are fighting, not fighting war, we are fighting. Our life is one of fight. Moment by moment, our life is one of fight. Not in a negative sense. Don't take it in a negative sense. I mean, that's a realistic sense. That's why Krishna says, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhya. You fight. Keep me at your background. Do in my sannidhanam. See, the problem, what is the problem of modern men, which we have so beautifully inherited from the Westerners? We think we are solving problems. Moment I think I am solving the problem, my blood first tarakata. That is why we get, India is the diabetic and hypertension capital of the world. India has the largest number of people having either diabetes or the hypertension or both in the age group of 20 to 30. You thump on your chest and call this as development? No. This is what we have done. Why? We thought I will solve everything. I mean, we have to put your best foot forward. That is called karma yoga. Mukta sangha samachara. That's what he says. You do. What is karma yoga? I am part of this situation. I am supposed to act. I will put my best foot forward. And then there are only two pillars for life. I keep saying this in my pravachan quite often. Many of my people know that. There are only two pillars in life. If you have understood these two pillars in life, it is success. What is that? One is called Sharanagata. Another is called Prasada Buddhi. If you have understood these two principles, we will work with great force. Results will do nothing for us. This is the only country in which everything is a prasada. Some white little bit of powder is a prasada. A child is a prasada. A book is a prasada. Yajna prasada and the book kottare. This country believed that we should inculcate the habit of prasada buddhi. God has given. And he knows why he is giving. We are alpagnyas. See, you go and ask me. I feel medical professionals have to be a lot more spiritual because every part of this body is so intricately designed. I don't know who is this designer. I am told this curve in your pada, no? If the curvature slightly changes, you will fall. Alva. You have no stability. There is a bit of a liquid in your ear, and if that balance goes, vertigo. God has created such a beautiful, this heart is a small little plumpy piece. It folds and folds and folds 256 times, I am told, to make an intricate mechanism, pumping mechanism. Who created all that? And that person knows what to do. Better leave it to him. You put your best foot forward. That is called Sharanagata Bhava and Prasada Buddhi. God, in God's scheme of things, nothing can be nonsense. I will tell you. You have to have that Shraddha. Every moment that happens to us in our life has a meaning. You may not understand it. That's a different story. Don't mix two things. You are an alpagnya. You cannot understand. But don't come to a conclusion it has no meaning. If I have failed today, there is a meaning to it. If I have succeeded today, there is a meaning to it. If it is a great success, there is a meaning to it. There is utter failure, there is a meaning to it. This is what it is. That's why tasma sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhyacha mayarpita mayo buddhi mameva yaseshi nasamshaya. Purusha, that is not the 15th sloka. It's just gone out of my mind. It will come again. So, like this, there are so many things that we can do. I'll take one more shloka and then leave it. We'll do a little bit of time if there is a bit of, Chapter 9 of Bhagavad Gita is such a beautiful chapter. It takes you to the pinnacle of bhakti. And so beautifully, Krishna has put it at the middle of the 18 chapters. That's why it's called Raja Vidya and Raja Guhya. It is so beautiful. Most of the shlokas are something which you have to reflect forever. I'll take only one shloka. Ananya chintayanto mam yejana paripasate tesham nitya abhiyuktanam yoga kshemam vahamyam. There are heavily loaded terms. In Arthashastra, there is this yoga and kshema. Yoga is the ability to acquire something. Kshema is to keep what we acquired. I mean, if you keep acquiring, it gets lost. What is a big deal there? You keep acquiring, nashta agate. There is no charm in it, no? So acquiring is part A of the problem. Part B of the problem is that should stay with you. These two words are called yoga and kshema. He says, yoga kshemam vahamyam. Ananya chintayanto mam. That's where the Sharanagata Buddhi is coming. I will tell you, in our scheme of things, if you look at the entire Vedic corpus also, you will find. We have Karma Kanda, we have Upasana Kanda and Jnana Kanda. Broadly, you will find, even if you take the Upanishad, the first and the third Vallis are all Upasanas. The jnana is in the second chapter. First and third are only upasanas. Or many of the Upanishads will have that structure, even in Upanishad, which is a Vedanta, even then. The point is, our skin, Shankaracharya says in his magnum opus, Viveka Chudami, Karmaha Chitta Siddhyate, na Vastupu Labhyate, Vastu Siddhi Vicharena, na Kanchit Karma Koti Bihi, na Kinchit Karma Koti Bihi. What is our path laid out for us? We should engage in the world. Why do you engage in the world? Not for promotions and more money. That will be incidental. That will come. We have to do karma. Why do you do karma? Chitta Shuddhi. The only reason why you want to engage in the world is I should become pure in my thought. That's why na karmana manarambat naiskarmam purushoshnate. Krishna says in the third shloka in chapter 3. You have to engage in the world to actually get to this state of purity. Work should not bother me anymore. That is called karma kanda. Now, between karma kanda and jnana kanda, you need a bridge. That bridge is bhakti. That is upasana kanda. Because this from the karma kanda, if you jump to other side, it will be very brittle. It will break. You need to soften. Bhakti's greatest role is to melt you. This vyakti, which is very hard. That's why a raw mango you cannot eat. Moment it dries, what a taste here. This country has some 400 different varieties of mango. It's a pleasure to eat them. It beautifully becomes soft. So, from karma, we go to bhakti. And that is the bridge for us for jnana. And that's where this chapter 9, that's why Ananya Chintayanto Mam Yajana Paripasate, Esha Nityabhiktanam Yogakshemavamiham is the pinnacle of bhakti. Yedashnati, whatever you give, I will take. Whatever you do, I will take it. Like that, slokas are there. So all these are really ideas for us to march on that path of endless bliss. So I just touched a few, 4 plus 4, 8 shlokas, maybe 10 shlokas. I just took 700 shlokas are there. So you just imagine what repository we are sitting. So I think I just wanted to give a little bit of a flair of it. We have some great scholars here who do a much better job than me with their knowledge of both Vedanta, Sanskrit, everything. Anyway, whatever little I knew, I thought I will share. Thanks for the opportunity that Venkat gave and the opportunity that Manu created here for all of us. And I only would like to say that that's why Gayam Gita Nama Sahasram is what, Bhagavad Gita, Kinchida Gita. 2 times Gita comes in Bhajagovindam. Once he says Gayam Gita Nama Sahasram. Another place he says Bhagavad Gita, Kinchida Gita. The Gita always has a special place in the scheme of things. Let us consume it. There's a lot of good people are giving lectures today. It's a God-sent opportunity for us. Technology is only making life a little easier for us. I only pray to Yogeshwara Krishna that this whole journey, Dr. Ramashankaran has taken a very great journey, has done a very great service to the cause of Sanatana Dharma. And we are all indebted to her for that. And let that be a Shubha Aramba. And I only pray to Yogeshwara Krishna that he endows all his, infinite blessing and compassion on all of us, and take us from this Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Jananam and all that. Thank you very much. Yeah, please. Punarpi. For the benefit of those who can speak, it will be probably important.
Namaskar. The beginning of the lecture, if you were getting the, we should give energy to the mind. But is it different? Both are in different language. Buddhi is best, mind is English. But is there any correlation or any given back or any interaction?
No. In our, if you look at Sankhya Darshana, for example, each individual is made of 24 elements. Buddhi is different from Manas.
Then how? What is the
Okay, there are many interpretations. I'll give one interpretation. So that I'll take an example of see, there is in Sankhya Darshana, there are 24 elements. Pancha Tanmatras, Pancha Bhutas, Pancha Karmendriyas, Pancha Jnanendriyas, 4 into 5, 20. Manas, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankara. So there are 4. Manas, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankara. Like this. Not same. That's what I am coming to. Otherwise, they would not have used different words and they put it as 24 different elements.
It may take different states at different times for different.
Okay. So let me very quickly take an example of a computer, then it becomes easy for us to relate. Okay. So what happens is, in a computer, there is something called a file allocation table.
Right.
The entire data is systematically kept with a certain, otherwise, right? Or memory, we call it as memory. Memory as a file allocation table, right? And that memory, the equivalent of that memory is Chitta. That's why Chitta Brahma means file allocation table. If file allocation table goes, you can't do anything with that data because the connections are gone now. You cannot map. So the equivalent of that is, there are different versions. I am giving one version. Okay. So Chitta is like our memory. For example, how do I know, Shankaracharya in his Bhashya, he brings all these arguments. He says, for a 1-year-old child, because a scientist must understand it, 1-year-old child ke mata uta kutta idare. There is one cow coming. Shankaracharya gives this example. There is a cow coming. It's a white cow with a black patches. So mother is saying, this is cow. And then distracted the child and then gave the food. Next day, another cow comes. That is a brown patch on a white. This child says that is cow. A scientist will say it's impossible. There is no pattern recognition with one sample. Where from did it come? So there is one faculty called Chitta, which is memory. Huh? No. But with one sample, you cannot say it is cow. It is not possible. You seeing cow for the first time, you bring a second time a cow of a different color, nobody can say it is cow. And people will say it is not possible in any case because there is they analyze the brain and say there is a certain pattern recognition has to happen before you can come to a conclusion. All those are there, like that. Okay. Then there is something called CPU in computer, central processing unit. That is blinds neutral on values. You give an algorithm, a program, it will process and give an output. Buddhi is actually value independent in one ways. I'll give you an example. One beggar came in front of the house. The question, this example will probably clarify you better. One beggar came in front of the house. My Chitta said he is a beggar. There is a memory and a pattern which immediately found that he is a beggar. Chitta is working now. Okay. Then the question is, should I give him money? Now I take 5 rupees out of my pocket. Now you know what this Buddhi will do? Buddhi will give all information to you. Giving is good. If you give today, he'll come tomorrow. Every information it will give. It is blinds neutral on values. It is a processing facility which will give you 100 things about that. But it Buddhi. It processes.
Buddhi is a factor.
No, it all depends. So I'll come to it. Just let me finish. So Buddhi will tell 100 things. Giving is good. If you give it, he'll come tomorrow. He may be a fake. He may not be a beggar. I can give you 100 sentences. Now the question is, how is this giving happening? Now there are 2 ways. Now the manas will decide out of these 10 sentences, this sentence I should pick. Somebody has to make a judgment there. You gave me 20. See, if somebody gives me 5 ideas, I have to make a decision finally. No? I should go with the idea 1, idea 2, idea 3, idea 4, or idea 5. Like. Yeah. So I'm saying there are different interpretations. That's why I said I gave one interpretation. Yeah, Nishchayatmakam Buddhi is it resolves. No, it resolves. It resolves a situation. It need not necessarily give a buddhi, a decision. It can give. That's what buddhim to sarathim buddhi. All can play different roles. No.
So that's what I mean.
Yeah, somebody, and then I will come back if somebody wants to. Yeah, please.
After the 4 of the 18th sloka.
Yeah.
Karmani
Akarmani cha kama.
Karmani.
Sabuddhimam manushyeshu.
What is the karma?
You have to read the previous two shlokas. He says karmana gahano gatihi. What is akarma? What is kavayopi atra mohitaha? Even very learned people have, but I will give another interpretation here. Karmani akarmaha yaha pashet. Okay. Akarmani cha karmayaha. Okay. Now, how is this room lit? This room is lit because of tube lamp. Right? There are so many sources of light. You take an engine. Engine is running from Vrindavan Express is going from Vrindavan Express is going from Bangalore to Chennai. How is Vrindavan Express going? They'll say the engine is running. The fact is engine is not running. Light is not, tube lamp is not giving light. There is electricity behind it. Akarmanicha karma. Somebody who is able to see the karana instead of the karya. This is a karya. Emitting light is a karya. There is a karana behind it. So, akarmanicha karma. Is there anything to chat?
Question on that.
Can you please say what
Yeah,
it is?
that was based on your elaborated on Prathana Buddhi, and elaborated on Sharanagati part, which was the second part.
Yeah, so what is Sharanagata Buddhi? I said, if I think I am doing everything, I am responsible for it, I have to do everything, the responsibility is mine, right? So many of us think like that. That has a certain limitation with which we have to go. While all that are true, they are true only up to a level. Finally, we should understand, that is what in chapter 11 of Bhagavad Gita anyway he said. We are all only instruments, right? That's what he said in chapter 11 of Gita. So what do you mean by Sharanagata Bhava? That means I will do everything. I will put the best foot forward. Even when I put the best foot forward, there is such a strong feeling in me that I am just nimitta matram bhavasavya sachi. You have to always engage that thought while you are putting the best foot forward. At the end of the day, I mean, you are only going through a process which has been laid out already here. You think you have created it. That's not very true. We need a greater wisdom to understand it. We are only going through a pre-programmed thing. Now, there is one great OR scientist by name Stafford Beer, Canadian. So I am all my work is on operations research. I've done a lot of work and so on. There is one Canadian OR scientist by name Stafford Beer. He wrote a paper in 1984 in a good OR journal, which is a heavy math and that kind of a journal. So in that journal, he wrote a paper. The title of the paper is Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. This is the title of the paper a OR scientist writes. And I asked, why did he write that? Because that is the Shatabhishegam of the greatest person in OR called Bellman, who did what is called dynamic programming and all that. In that paper, such a beautiful paper to read. He says, every day I actually drive. Every day I drive to my ranch. Okay. I pass through my neighbor's building, that previous ranch. Every time I pass through it, there is this dog which barks like mad until I reach the other side. So he gives that example, he quotes Gita. He says, Ahankara vimudatma kartayam iti manjite. 27 sloka in chapter 3. He says the dog thinks that it has done its job. The poor dog doesn't know whether you bark or not. I am going to go every day. These are all ordained. But the dog thinks I have done, faithfully does its job. So he makes that statement and he says, I now quote Gita, Ahankara vimudatma kartaram iti manyate. So that if you don't have Sharanagata Bhava, Ahankara will finish me off. It just eat me, which is what many of us are. We are just consuming ourselves. That's the meaning of that actually. In that over to Soumya, Bhagini.
Gita is timeless as told by sir. But unfortunately, we are all moved by time. And so the bliss, we attempt to reach the endless bliss, the lecture has to have an end. It is indeed prasada, Ishvara prasada that we had an opportunity today to listen from somebody like Professor Mahadeva. He is a very unique personality in this because his day-to-day engagement is with students of management who bring so many of these questions about Gita. Is it needed at all? Is it relevant today? Why are we repeating the same things again? It is so old, like he said. And he has been answering those questions very effectively since so many decades in an institution like the Indian Institute of Management. So he conducts every week, he conducts classes based on our scriptures like the Gita, Ramayana, and so on, bringing the wisdom which is extremely relevant and applicable to day-to-day life. So that is one of the unique aspects that we also have in today's lecture, where whatever nuggets we pick from across the Gita, so from the first chapter, second chapter, third chapter. So if we want from every day, he gave us representational thoughts which must lead us on a continuing journey to explore the Gita and to invite that into us to reach the state of endless bliss. We are extremely grateful to Professor Mahadevan for blessing us with such a
See these vyoma, you see that these people I have been associated with them for the last lots of vyoma actually. They do some fantastic service. For example, I've never seen a better book than these ever for Bhagavad Gita. E-book use what if you know they have if you use this book, there's a lot of ucharana. What effort they put to bring out very comprehensive. Even if you want to do a Gita India, there is a procedure or you will get Gita Homa if you want to do this. They do things very thoroughly. There is one book here, of course, they have done a lot of. There are some books at the back, I think, right? These people have done some great work, which is continuing and bring very sensible material for today's society. I think there are a few books here and there, they also display there. So they have a website and so on. I wanted to say that moment I saw this, it came to my mind. Thank you. ಈಗೆಲ್ಲ ಎಷ್ಟಪ್ಪ
the greatest blessing that we want is to be guided day in and day out by elders like Professor Mahadevan. He has been guiding us in all of our endeavors. And somebody who is similarly supporting us very much is Srimati Ramashankar, who has arranged this lecture by providing the venue. So we offer our humble pranams to her. And we thank all of you who are gathered here and those who have been watching through live stream. A very heartfelt gratitude to all of us, all of you who have been supporting us in our Sanskrit-Samskriti-Samskara related activities.
There is a small prasadam which you can take. Take away to